G'day guys, kia ora, my name is Wildkard, and yes, the mighty All Blacks is finally back, baby. Now, a lot of you guys are going to say, oh, we always done pretty well. Razor has pretty high win rate. Now, look, there are so many little things that the All Blacks has done in this game, showed a clear improvement and step forward from Razor has done in the last 3 years. I am sorry, yes, the winning streak, the All Blacks did perform in some games, it didn't lose that many games, but there are some key problems that was plaguing the All Blacks in those eras that this All Blacks team, I think, has clearly taken a step forward, right? Number one, a lot of the aging players are starting getting phased out, and we're not seeing like a complete falling off the cliff, right? We had, Razor had to go back again and again and again to rely on some of those senior players like Beauden Barrett, and really was, you can see it, like, Beauden Barrett, and then, it doesn't matter what happens, there's a cliff coming at some point, because Beauden ain't gonna be, 30 years old forever, right? He's like 32 or something now. So there was a cliff coming, and there was no addressing of that problem under the previous administration. And this team, right? Dave Rennie has rolled the dice, brought in some new players, brought in new combinations, and over the last 3 weeks, and this is the most important part, they worked the problems and they clearly improved every week heading into this match and built to this result that everybody was looking for. And that is really, really important. Not just the win rate, not just, the Razor also did well. It's the fact that they have taken a huge step forward in terms of moving towards a brighter future. Longevity of the All Blacks has really been taken towards the right direction tonight. Now, that's number one. Number two, there were some very clear strategic changes as well from what Razor was doing in terms of just, really trying to play the kicking game under the Razor, really trying to play that box style of rugby, trying to play that the more of, I would say, probably European style of rugby, more stale, more trench warfare style of rugby, and it has really shifted out of that as well. The kicking game, this is something that I think, a lot of the old school rugby fans would have seen this. There's more dynamic in terms of kicking game. The ball goes out wide, right, and suddenly the kicking game is not just it's not just the option. It's not just like, the option when he goes to box kick. That's only one option. When he go out wide, right, and he goes to, like, whether it be Jordy Barrett, whether it be Ruben Love, or maybe even D-Mac in the midfield, the kicking becomes one of the many options that is available for the playmaker. Instead of just, let's do a box kick, everybody can see it coming, and it is the only option. You go out wide, and suddenly the kicking is just one of many options that the playmaker has at his disposal, and it makes the kicking more effective and more dynamic. And sometimes it's like, hey, look, we plan to kick this maybe, or maybe we plan to go for a 50-22 or something, and not really on. Let's just we can just keep on attacking, we can just keep on running. We just run the ball, spread it wide, and go for some of our other options. And that dynamic style of rugby, I think, really just really, really impressive on the All Blacks. And we haven't really seen that for a number of years now. Another thing, I think also a massive move forward from the previous previous coaching staff is the fact that this All Blacks team had a game plan to target certain areas of the Irish team, and they really honed in on that. And number one is the forward pack really muscling up, just in terms of getting the physicality down and not allowing the Irish forward pack to roll that momentum. That's something they did really, really, and clearly honed in on that. And number two, the rush defense. This is probably like some of the best rush defense, again, I've seen from the All Blacks for many, better than previous 2 weeks. I've seen many years. And they understood how important it is not just shut down the time that is given to Prendergast, but also shut down his options and make it difficult for him to make those passes. And we saw so many passes from Prendergast. Prendergast looks really, really bad this game because the All Blacks has done such a great job in terms of closing out his options, in terms of, closing out, eliminating the time that he has to make those passes as well. So just another thing, I mean, this is something that clearly that was strategically planned before the game, and I felt like not only that they identify some of these key areas that needed to be addressed against the Irish, but also they they really executed executed the game plan really, really, really well, especially with the rush defense and shutting down Prendergast. And one of the things I did think that the All Blacks was doing, I wouldn't say wrong, but was doing a little bit was a little bit too fast in their tempo in the previous 2 weeks, and as a result, they were forcing a lot of errors. As a result, maybe everybody was maybe just a little bit too hot-headed. In even against Italy, I felt like the All Blacks were probably a bit hot-headed, and some of the options were like rashly chosen and may not be the best ones. And they end up just being like a lot of short options, and there was a lack of vision essentially to go wider. And then this week, we can clearly see that the tempo of the team, in a good way, slowed down just a tiny, tiny little bit. And that allowed the playmakers to make much more clearer and decisive decisions and allow the structure of the All Blacks to just build, right? We've seen the All Blacks build like what, this game, 25 phases without making any errors. And that's the sort of patience and that's the sort of like, leadership and control that the players need, and not to just get frustrated because the fact that you haven't scored a try after like 3 carries, right? And that is just some stuff like, again, just some new, emotionally, like maturity is starting to show in this team as well. And I just thought that's really, really impressive and just kept that pressure on for sustained periods of time. And the players back themselves. The more the line out also improved from previous week as well. They added Tupuvai at the number 6 jersey. And he was really, really good, playing us almost like a Peter Step to Toy style of blindside of blindside, where he kind of just hangs out on the wing and just uses that big body to try to belt through some of the smaller defenders out wide. And I thought that's almost like a play. I think that is a play out of the South Africans in some sense, and they just worked. And it just stuff like that shows that the All Blacks are not just keep doing the same thing and oh my god, what do we do? It's like they're clearly like working on some stuff, trying out new things, and I really, really like that. And this is, it's not just the fact that they won this game; it's the fashion, the details behind this win. I think that is the most important part, and I think a lot of All Black fans will be really, really happy after seeing this result. Just before I move to Ireland and the referee, obviously, I just want to finish off the All Blacks first. I do think the breakdown was probably a little bit too loose for the All Blacks. I mean, the Irish did not. I felt like the Irish did not contest the breakdown as heavily as I was expecting. Now, if you go in against the Springboks and if they flat the breakdown a little bit more, I think the All Blacks might not secure some of those breakdowns were a little bit. The Irish kind of just didn't contest, right? And I felt like maybe the All Blacks weren't that clinical. Like I felt like some of the breakdowns might, the amount of commitment the All Blacks had to breakdown. Sometimes I feel like was not quite enough. Maybe it's, if you have a different, if you think that's, let me know if you get that sense as well. I feel like, the fact that if you go against like a team of Springboks and if they really put more pressure on the breakdown, what the All Blacks committed to the breakdown in this game might not be enough to secure it. I'll talk about the kicking game. The kicking kind of went out wide. Dynamic kicking, very few box kicks from both teams, in fact. And then a lot of the All Blacks' goal was to try to hone into that 50-22 and also just try to park the ball deep into your 22 and make you do those box exit kicks under pressure. Damien McKenzie was probably my man of the match. He was, again, really, really good this game as a second playmaker. He put himself in positions to create overlaps. He put himself in positions to make those kicks. In fact, the style that he played tonight is something that I actually haven't seen from him for forever. I don't think I've ever seen him play in this style. This is a very French style of rugby. Something that, you will see from like literally something you probably saw last week from Jalibert, who played 15 because he's normally plays a fly half. And there was one kick in particular from David McKenzie. He got on the wing and there was like nothing. He just like kind of pumped, like, he was under pressure, just quickly grab a kick the ball down the sideline and try to set up, a full race for his winger. And that's like a very, very French style of rugby. And I just again, whether or I like the fact that they're learning this sort of stuff and really trying to get that into their players. Would never seen them do that in Super Rugby, right? I don't think I've ever seen them do that in Test Rugby. And that's something, again, just understanding that and showing that they're willing to execute it was really, really, really good. Jacobson got a yellow card. I thought it might have been a red, to be honest. This is first time as well I've seen the referee saying that the arm getting blocked a little bit into the clean out mitigated from the lack of wrapping, so it was just a yellow card. But I still felt like that could be a red because it was reckless. He jumped into the rock off his feet as well and shoulder to the head. Even if he tried for a wrap, I think that could have been a red in some sense. But I guess, at least they're consistent going forward. I think that's not. I don't really have an issue with that. I'd rather have players on the field. So yeah, Now, since we're on the referee, just wanted to address all the Irish fans who don't watch Super Rugby. The Nick Berry, right? The great Nick Berry from, Queensland, one of the greatest places on earth. He's kind of like the target test dummy for, let's just put it nicely. I was going to use the R word, but let's just put it nicely for ridiculous. That's a different R word, for the ridiculous interpretations of the law, okay? Here's a target test dummy for ridiculous law interpretations in Super Rugby, right? No other referee interprets the law the way he does in Super Rugby, and somehow he's given instructions and freedom to do basically like some of the craziest stuff that you will see that you've seen tonight, right? The first one I think everybody wants to talk about is the deliberate knock on. Now, literally in Super Rugby, according to Nick Berry, the interpretation is different. As long as your palm is up, it's considered not a deliberate knock on. I know. If you're an Irish fan, you'd be laughing right now, like, what? Yeah, that's literally interpretation in Super Rugby only for Nick Berry, okay? No other referee has this interpretation in Super Rugby, but Nick Berry says that's the interpretation given to him for specifically to try out, I guess, for Super Rugby, right? And in this test match, he actually said, okay, guys, that's not what we're going to go with, right? Because this is not Super Rugby, but his interpretation is still incredibly loose, right? So there was one incident earlier when Prendergast did a knock on. I think a lot of referees could have called that a potentially a yellow card, maybe definitely a penalty. But Nick Berry said that was just a knock on, just right in front of goalpost. I mean, just a knock on, and went for just went settled on a scrum. That's basically a Super Rugby interpretation there. And then later on, this incident, he initially called this okay, because this would have been okay in Super Rugby. And if you had the Kiwi referees, Kiwi commentators, they were saying that's okay. And then he actually said live on TV that this is not Super Rugby, so it's actually a penalty. And I think Quinton Tuer got lucky not to get sent off with the yellow card here. But, again, I'm sorry, guys. This is not consistent, and it's just Nick Berry, right? No other Super Rugby referee would have made these decisions. And so, yeah. So let's have a look at this. I think that let's just explain what happens, right? So when it comes to deliberate knock on, the law actually, it doesn't care if the ball, like if your hand is up or your hand is down or whatever, right? It only cares about one thing. So a lot of people might think, oh, if you knock the ball up, it's a legitimate attempt to catch the ball. It doesn't matter. The only thing that it considers is that it is not an intentional knock forward if, in the act of trying to catch the ball, the player knocks on, provided that there was reasonable expectations that the player could gain possession. So the player needs to be able to catch the ball, whether you knock it up or knock it down. As part of it, doesn't matter. You need to be in a reasonable play ability to catch the ball, right? Obviously, knocking down basically means there's no way you could catch it. So it's not a genuine attempt to catch the ball. But knocking it up, still, if you knocked it up and it's gone straight out like 10 yards in front of you, you're not in a position to regain the ball. So it's still a deliberate knock on. It still should have been a yellow card. And I think that is what happened here with Quinton Tupaia, right? He stuck his hand up and he knocks the ball upwards, according to Super Rugby, which is what Nick Berry said in first. And I think some of the Kiwi commentary was saying as well. This is an attempt to catch, right? He's swung the other hammer around as well. The question is whether or not this was a reasonable, right? Reasonable expectation that player could gain position. I don't think it's reasonable to say that Quinton Tupaia would have gained possession here when he jumped out like this with one hand touching the ball first and try to like clamp on after already knocking the ball forward with one hand. I don't think this was a reasonable attempt. I mean, this is pretty far-fetched for a reasonable attempt to catch the ball. So I do think that this was I don't know if this should be a yellow card. I think a lot of referees would have given this a yellow card. But yeah, I don't think that's the case. And in Super Rugby, this would have been just a knock on. So yeah, just wanted to all the Irish fans know what is going on. Another key characteristic of the Nick Berry referee is a scrummaging. He does not like to call scrum penalties. He does not like to reset the scrums. I think the scrum just didn't, there was so many little like stuff that he just straight away given in a short arm. and didn't really allow the scrum to play out. I don't like it, but this is again, even most Super Rugby referees don't even do this. It's just Nick Berry that does this because he's under instructions by New Zealand Rugby and Rugby Australia to keep the ball in play time high, and one way to do it is to reduce this time in scrum. Yeah, I don't think the referee should be given any instructions to speed the game up because, like, it's not the referee's job. It's not. It's just, like, you're manipulating the game at that point, right? But it is something that they are being told to do, and I think the scrum was a bit of a shame. There wasn't a really much of a contest. A lot of it was just given short arm right away. Now Ireland, Prendergast under pressure, cracked again. Yeah, I mean, one of the questions you might say is like, oh, I know some people might say Prendergast is just not a good player. Do you think Crowley would have done better under similar pressure? The amount of pressure the All Blacks put on the players were like extremely high. So with Crowley on the field, you probably would have settled on a different style of rugby, right? He would have just done more of a kicking rugby and less, you wouldn't have utilized the space as much as the Prendergast tried to do in this game, right? And as a result, I don't know if as a result, I think you could argue that Prendergast was too shallow, and you probably need a bit of a like the way it's set up is probably not the best way. Like, instead of having him as the first receiver, they should have like a forward getting the ball in a flat pass and then backdoor to Prendergast to just hold out the defense a little bit, and that'll give Prendergast more time to make those wider plays. I don't think they set that up properly for him, so it's not 100%. I guess he's the one that's supposed to set us up for himself, right? So again, either way, this was a tough game for him. And the fact that it didn't work out, just I think it's more because the All Blacks did a really good job to shut him down than him just being bad per se. But definitely need more work there. I do think that the kicking game for Prendergast was pretty interesting. They did obviously identify a few things they wanted to do. Again, there was a bit of a dynamic kicking, crossfield kicking. Came a bit too late. I thought almost like a last roll of the dice to put the kicking game out there. They did look like they're trying to target Morby a little bit with the kicking, at least once or twice, but that didn't really do much for them, and then they kind of stopped. But yeah, the Irish, once again, the four pack really did, as we all were expecting, really grinded out some brilliant tries. I think when Prendergast was under pressure, Gibson Parker once again did a great job to taking over the playmaking and just directed the forwards into the right areas. And there was a lot of back and forth switching between the forwards just to keep the defense going right and left and right. So sometimes you'll see one team go one side. Usually you see one team go one side all the way to the end and then come all the way back to the other side. Ireland, I think both teams did this, but Ireland especially, they will go one side and quickly switch back to the short side and maybe quickly switch back again. Just these back and forth switches make it really difficult to settle on where the ball's going to go and keep everyone guessing. And I think not Prendergast, but Gibson Park did a really good job to hammering some of those options for the Irish. So yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to say. This was an absolutely outstanding game. So let's have a look at the match stats of the game. One last thing. Jacobson. So I've talked about him having like high error rate. The yellow card, he could argue, was once again one of the error thing. I do think that, after watching him playing for 3 weeks, I actually changed my mind. I think he's I think he's great. I think he's actually, a lot of you guys were telling me he's great, but I had concern with his error rate. I do think that he's great. The fact that he had a yellow card, he came back and improved on that. Improved that his discipline, reduced his error rate down. The fact that he got himself and then still managed to grind out the rest of the game with like an extremely high work rate. I respect that. I like that. I think that is the hallmark of a good player, right? Not to just go, keep coming back and make more mistakes. The fact that he honed in and reduced those mistakes, I was really impressed, and he still kept up the work rate that we always kind of expected him to do. So I really like that. Like the controlled aggression was really something that hopefully we can see more of him, and just not getting a yellow card or throw away a bunch of penalties earlier on in the game. And he really just honed him to from the big get-go will be something that I really want to see
from into the future. Just look at the match stats of the game: 6 tries to 3, 550 run meters for the All Blacks, 410, 199 carries for the All Blacks, 222 for the Irish. A lot more, 34 defenders beaten as well to the Irish 15. 9 turnovers conceded, just outstanding retention there. 17 for this for the Irish, just crazy stuff. 165 tackled for the All Blacks, 15 missed tackles, less than 10%. 246 tackles for the Irish, 34 missed tackles that would just absolutely work their bums off. 24 kicks in play for the All Blacks, 15 for the Irish. Not that much kicking going on for both teams. 1 conversion missed by Damien McKenzie at the end of the match. Why, D-Mac? Why? Why do you have to miss that? You were so good. Oh, God. But anyway, classic D-Mac. 24 kicks in play, so the kick meters, despite, not that much kicking, seemingly from the All Blacks, they still have more kick meters than the Irish. 620 to the Irish, 432. Just shows how much control the All Blacks really had in this game. And like I said, those midfield options really made it difficult. Really made it difficult for the Irish to figure out what's going on. Because I think nowadays a lot of the teams are too used to those box kicks, and the dynamic kicking game was just, I thought was really, really brilliant from the All Blacks. Lineouts 2 loss for the All Blacks out of 12. 12 for Ireland as well, only 1 loss, not too bad. No, this scrum was not really much a contest, to be honest. Too many short arms immediately given away. 9 penalties given away for the All Blacks, 1 yellow card for Jacobson. 8 penalties for the Irish, no yellow cards there as well. There were periods of times, I think, one of the problem with the All Blacks against Italy, I thought, was there were just periods of really, really low. The All Blacks also had periods of lows where they allow the Irish back into the game a little bit. I do think that not as bad as the Italian ones. I think the All Blacks was more consistent in this game, but still, there's still room to improve to keep those consistency out. Like, especially you don't want to just piggyback a bunch of easy penalties and allow the opposition to get into your 22 for almost for free, and that's something that you definitely don't want to do against the Springboks. That is coming up for the team. Finally, let's just do a quick recap of the game. 40 minutes of the game, there was absolutely no attempt to take in penalties. The All Blacks had a nice little rhythm building into the 22. There was like a little short ball from Josh Law to Tui Pelotu. 2 big props in midfield. Just almost like a screen running and just 1-2 punch. Tui Pelotu ran through a gap, dunked the ball down, 7 points to nil for the All Blacks. 19 minutes in the game. The All Blacks were building more pressure inside the Irish 22. It looked like there was a deliberate knock-on from Prendergast, and the referee said, nope, that's just a knock-on. They went for more penalties came on. The All Blacks went for a midfield scrum, and then Ade Savea just picked up scrum back of scrum and ran straight to the blind side, and then he just scored a try. When I was a little kid, this move is called burgers. Just burgers. You just take a ball and you run it as hard as you can as a number, and it works like a charm. Goes in. He ran over 3 defenders as well. 14 points to nil. Jacobson was sent off after this. And then the momentum started to swing for the Irish. 34 minutes in the game, repeated penalties, allowing the Irish into the 22. They went for the line out, just midfield crash. Came back to the short side, more crash balls. Swing back to the open side quickly. Conan crashed in for the try. 14 points to 7. 35 minutes in the game from the kickoff from this try being scored, and this just this was just a freebie. I don't know what's going on here. Maybe Prendergast caught it, but the Irish was trying to run the ball out of their own 22, and McCloskey ran up and it did a backdoor pass to Prendergast, and they went to nobody and just went straight to the ground. And then Will Jordan ran up, scooped up the ball for a freebie, 21 points to 7. I don't know if this was McCloskey made this mistake or Prendergast caught it, and I don't know. There was a clear something happened here, but it was just stupid play from inside their own 22, and it was a free try. Just before halftime, Uncle Amor gets another try. Just got put onto the field for Cody Taylor, and it was absolutely pumping. The All Blacks had a line out. Amor crashed from the line out, just getting in deep into the 22, and then a couple faces later, he gets another ball. He rams himself into the defense as well, and he dunks the ball into the ground on the line for the try. He bumped over Van der Fleer as well in one of these runs with just absolute power. Uncle Amor gets this one, 28 points to 7 going into halftime. Second half, immediately Ireland came out with a bit more energy, wants to score first. They built a lot of pressure into a penalty. They went for a line out, crash ball. And then McCarthy gets pushed over by their teammate under the post, 28 points to 14. 55 minutes, the All Blacks gets himself momentum back. Lots of midfield pressure, quick recycling, just just lots of back and, just lots of patience. Camped inside the 22 for a very long time. Eventually, the ball went out wide to Tupaya. Quick hand to Ruben Love. He ran, got tackled just short of the try line. And then D-Mac gets there, pick and go, dots the ball down real quick for 35 points to 14. 62 minutes, Tupaya almost got sent off for the deliberate knock on. And finally, 17 minutes in the block. The Ireland could not get themselves back into this game. The All Blacks, once again, were just happy to pound you, seemingly for like 20, 30 phases without any relief. And eventually, the ball, what happened here? Eventually the ball was campus at a 22 very long that went out to Jordan. Will Jordan ran up, draws 2 defenders, passes the ball out to Anton Leonard-Brown into the corner for the try. 40 points to 21, final score. Really, really beautiful game. Let me know your thoughts. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and time to watch the Wallabies. Cheers. Please.